A few weeks ago, I did a video explaining data-centric AI, and I've had a lot of requests for a follow-up video. So here are the 5 principles of data-centric AI. First principle is that in data-centric AI, you are iterating through the data. And so what that means is that through the AI development process, you want to be improving your data. And there's a few ways to do that, which are touched on in some of the other principles. But the idea here of this first principle is that generally, when in developing machine learning models and AI, we focus on improving the model. While there has been some work on improving the data as well, in data-centric AI, we want to put the majority or more and more of our efforts into improving the quality of the data that's fed into the algorithm. And this is not to say that we're throwing away old approaches. This is an addition and kind of expanding on the approaches that we have to AI development. So first principle is iterating on the data, improving it. Second one is using machine learning and AI to create and or improve the data that you have. So if we talk about improving the data, you can use machine learning to tell you about the areas where you're able to predict well an area and data points where you have the greatest error. And then you want to see whether that data is accurate or well labeled, well represented of what the worldview is, or maybe there are improvements that you can make from an ethical or responsible AI perspective on those data points. And sometimes, which goes to the other part of this principle, you can use machine learning to create data. And once you use generative models, you can have a lot more control in the type of data that you create that then you are using for prediction. So that's principle number 2, using machine learning to create and or improve your data. And that can be on focusing which data to improve, which data points or data labels. Principle number 3 is to use programmatic labeling. So typically when we go to label data, we ask the experts to generally label one data point at a time or to do it in a really manual manner. However, there are rules and heuristics that the experts usually have in their head that can be translated to code. And this code can create a set of labels for us to start the work on. So that's the idea behind programmatic labeling. And it's a core principle to make sure that any work that we're doing on labeling is greatly leveraged. So by extracting the rules that we can use on our labeling. Number 4, so principle number 4 is to keep experts in the loop. So as we were talking about before, to have better data quality, you need to involve experts, and this is principle number 4, involving those subject matter experts and making sure that they're able to understand from the data, from the model, what are the key data points to either be relabeled or improved on, or data points that need to be collected again for this particular purpose. So you need to include the SMEs as much as possible. And then principle number 5 is ethical and responsible AI is a must. So one of the issues that we've had in machine learning and AI is that there's essentially bias in the data that we've collected, and that data is often biased because there are societal biases that then get captured in the data. Then that data is fed to the algorithms. The algorithms learn from that, and then when they make predictions or decisions, the algorithms are perpetuating the bias that we got from society and the data. Now, as society evolves, we hopefully improve our treatment of individuals, and we want to reflect that in our models. So this fifth principle really tells us that with data-centric AI, we're spending a lot of our time on improving the data and the data quality and using techniques to do that. This fifth principle tells us that we should always have an ethical and responsible AI overlay in this process, because we have the opportunity to create the world that we want, and as opposed to just perpetuating the world that we have. So AI being such a wonderful and powerful technology, we have to make sure that when working in our algorithms and our models and in our data, that we're able to put in there the world that we want. These are the 5 principles of data-centric AI. I hope this has been beneficial. Happy to do more of these. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks.